Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the book Soul Obsession by Nicky Cruz. In Puerto Rico, Nicky Cruz's mother was a witch. She was one of the most feared Satanists in the district. She actually was known as the Witch of Las Piedras, and people were so scared of her because she was so full of evil. All his childhood he experienced her hatred, and his father, who was also steeped in Satanism and the occult, he didn't give him love either. In his early 20s, Nicky Cruz was in America, and he was a young Christian, and he heard news that his mother was dying in Las Piedras and that she didn't have many days to live. He didn't care. He had been abused, he'd been neglected by her, and also he had suffered a lot of verbal abuse. She constantly called him a child of the devil and told him almost daily how much she hated him. He was very bitter, but he felt it's the right thing. I'm a Christian, I'm going to go and give my respects and say goodbye to my mother for one last time. As she lay on her deathbed, he looked at her and her eyes were lifeless. And the wickedness that was in her eyes when he knew her, when he was a child, it was still there. She was still looking at him with the most bitter evil. And he just wanted to go. He was feeling very overwhelmed, and his dad was hanging around as well, and the whole evil atmosphere just made him change his mind, and he thought, right, that's it, I'm going. So he left the house and he was walking down the road, and he came across a church, and there was a meeting going on, and he walked in, and I think he knew some of the people in the church, and he explained to them what happened to his mum, and he said, will you please come and pray for my mother? So the man said, I promise you I'll be there tomorrow night. And Nicky didn't really expect anyone to be there, really. I mean, she was known as being this evil, horrible woman, and would they even want to go into that atmosphere? But to his surprise, the next night, the place was full of Christians, and it was Christians from all denominations. So this man had rallied round all these Christians that he knew, not just from his church, and they were there to do business. They were there to rout the devil once and for all, to fight and to win the fight. So they prayed and they declared and they did different things. And while this was going on, the atmosphere changed, and it suddenly became a peaceful atmosphere. He could feel the Spirit of the Lord in that room, and he could feel the faith of the people around that bedside, and the grace and the love as well, which he was struggling with. All of a sudden, the Lord spoke to his heart, and he said, you have to forgive your mother, and you have to tell her, look her in the eyes and tell her that you forgive her. So his heart softened towards her, and as he was just about to tell her he forgives her, she looked at him and she said, Nicky, I'm so sorry for how I've been with you. I'm so sorry for having been a terrible mother. Will you please forgive me? And then she asked him if she could kiss his cheek. Now, she had never kissed him his whole life, but he just looked in her eyes and he said, Mother, I forgive you. And as he started expressing words of love and grace to her and allowed her to kiss him for the very first time, she broke down and she wept, and I think she even sort of half fell out of her bed and she wept. And he said, Mum, you need to get to know Jesus. Well, she did give her life to Jesus that night, and God completely healed her. And she actually went on to live another 25 years and 7 months as a Christian evangelist, spreading the good news about Jesus. His father, at some point, he gave his life to Jesus as well. So it's a wonderful, wonderful testimony. There are many other stories in the book of how God used Nicky Cruz as an evangelist. The book makes you come away feeling really inspired, and it helped me to trust more of God with my life, because he can do amazing things. And it also gave me a renewed passion for souls. If God can save a wicked Satanist on the brink of death, on the brink of going into hell for eternity, he can touch the heart of any hard heart. That's encouraging, isn't it? The chapters are small and they're easy to read. And if you don't know, Nicky Cruz is the author of Run Baby Run. Nicky Cruz himself was a notorious gang leader in his earlier days, and he was preached to by a man, I think it was David Wilkerson, who never gave up on him, and despite the threats of harming David continued to preach to him and eventually became a Christian. I think a lot of Christians are familiar with Run Baby Run, but this is the author, just to remind you if you don't know. I'll show you his picture somewhere. You might not be able to see it. Anyway, the book is split into 3 parts, and each part has 6 chapters. So it's very easy to read, and I do recommend that you read this because it's a real faith builder. My next review is a book called Bright Promise, and I shall be giving you the information about that very soon. In the meantime, I shall be putting the link down in my description as to where you can obtain a copy of Soul Obsession, and you won't be disappointed. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. God bless you. Goodbye.